Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Dais, a podcast about the stories taking place in and around El Paso County, Colorado. I'm your host, Scott Anderson, and today I get to be joined by Christine Middleton, the Organizational Development Division Manager in Human Resources here at El Paso County. How are you doing today, Christine?
Good, thank you, Scott.
Good. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. You are a very busy person, so I appreciate you making the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving me the chance to be here today and talk with you.
Absolutely. Before we get started, I want to quickly add that if listeners are interested in more stories about people doing good in and around El Paso County, or hearing from county leadership about local government priorities and how they operate, you can find additional episodes of this podcast on your podcast platform of choice. But to get into things, Christine, I was wondering if you could start by sharing some background about yourself and how you ended up here at El Paso County HR.
Sure, it's a pleasure. So I grew up in Germany, as most of you can probably hear. And I actually went to a high school over there that sets you up for going to university or college. But I was actually 19, so you go to high school until 13th grade before you leave high school. And I honestly still had no idea what I wanted to become when I grow up. So, and I also grew up not poor. We always had enough to eat and roof over our heads, but my parents made it very clear to me that if I did go to university or college, that I really had to support myself. So I made the choice to do an apprenticeship right after high school, and I applied for some apprenticeships within investment institutions within Germany, and I was lucky enough to get into a financial program. And that means that you basically go to school for 2 full days a week, and the rest of the week, the 3 days you work in that financial institution, and you go through all their different divisions, from the teller station to the mortgages to investments, and learn all about the things. But I learned going through that apprenticeship programs 3 things about myself. First, I'm actually pretty good at customer service, and I really like people and assisting them. That was the first thing. And I am actually good at selling things, but I really don't enjoy selling bank products. Okay?
That's fair.
And then part of this apprenticeship was also that they gave us lots of development opportunities. They sent us to workshops, and attending all these workshops, that's when I knew that I actually wanted to be the one creating and finding development opportunities and helping employees to be successful and grow. So after I completed my apprenticeship program, I decided to turn down a job offer, and I did go back to university to get my degree in business with a focus in HR and organizational development. And I was actually very lucky to find a great company that hired me hired me to write my master's thesis for them. And during I wrote my master thesis, they actually had a opportunity open up in organizational development while I was still finishing my thesis, and I got hired in my dream job right off college. So I was really lucky and grateful for that.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. So in around that time, I also started dating my now husband, who was in the military and stationed near my hometown. And we were very lucky to be able to stay in Germany for about 10 years together. Mm-hmm. And after the 10 years, the military let us know that it's time to move on. So we were stationed back in the States. And I was lucky to be stationed here in Colorado with my family. And we got here, I had 2 little kids, and I decided to stay home for a few years since my husband was deployed on and off. And he was close to retirement. Mm-hmm. So I used that time to get my U.S. citizenship. I acquired my senior human resources certification to learn more about the employment laws and practices in the United States. And I was also lucky enough to get into an internship program through the military, which is offered for active duty military and their spouses to get some experience before they actually leave the military. So that also gave me great exposure to just what it is to work in the United States and to learn a little bit more what I want to do. And during that internship, they actually encouraged all the interns to attend a job fair at Fort Carson. And here I am strolling through the room, and that's when I knew about the city of Colorado Springs. I know about utilities, and then I stumbled across El Paso County. They had a table there, and I started talking to them, and I'm like, oh, wow. They're actually a large employer. I love what they do, their mission. And I got home. I went on our website and I signed up for a job interest alert so I get notified when they have any openings within human resources. And a few months later, there was an opening. So I applied, and that's how I got a job in HR. So if anyone listening to this is looking for a job with a purpose, serving the community to live in, and great benefits, set up a job alert on our webpage, elpasoco.com, careers, and you get literally notified with an email, hey, there's a job opening within IT, HR, Department of Human Services, whatever area you're looking for. So that's how I ended up working in HR. I started actually as an HR assistant. So I was really supporting the team with scheduling interviews, unemployment claims, background check, things like that. And a month later, again, I was so lucky, a training specialist position actually opened up. And they were actually doing exactly what I was doing in my prior job in Germany. So I applied, I got the job, and here I am 6 years later.
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
So you've been with the county for 6 years, or you've been in...
Over 6 years, yes.
Okay, over 6 years. That's awesome.
Yes.
Great. And so a couple of things about your history that I want to talk about real quick. Going back to that initial internship back in Germany, where you learned these 3 different things about what you really enjoyed doing. What was your favorite part of that internship? Because I think a lot of the times when people think of internships, they might not see the value that they have. They might not, especially if you don't know what you want to do. Kind of like in a similar situation that you were in. Maybe they think they're a waste of time. It's like, oh, why am I doing an internship here? I don't know if I want to do that. So talk to me about what your favorite part of that whole experience was. Yeah,
definitely. So I am a big fan of internship and apprenticeship. So it was actually an apprenticeship in Germany what I did. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about it is you don't, like I was in a bank, right, an investment institute. So I learned a lot about mortgages and stuff like that. But I learned coming out of high school how to work with other people. Mm-hmm. I learned that passion for customer service that was instilled in me. And it doesn't matter if you work in a bank, in a grocery store, in a fast food place. That is a lifelong lesson I learned in an early age, and that's been ingrained with me, and I think gave me a lot of advantage going in any other job. And working with different type of people, right? When you do an internship and apprenticeship, you usually work not only with a small team, you support the entire department or even different departments. So you learn to work with different type of people. Mm-hmm. Like a mortgage person in the bank, for example, is usually a little bit different than somebody who sells shares, right? Yeah. So, and just that drive to learn and to also ask questions. I think that's one of the things I learned too, that in high school I got taught a lot of things and I had to learn them and repeat them. Mm-hmm. But when you do an internship or an apprenticeship program, it's in Germany we say bring und hol Schuld, which means, yes, you get taught a lot of things by going to workshops to school, but you as an apprentice and intern, it's also your job to ask as many questions as you can, right? Mm-hmm. To get the knowledge and experience you want to get out of it. Yeah. So yes, I'm a big supporter, and that's one of my passions as well, is definitely internships.
Yeah, and I think too, sometimes it can be really difficult to ask questions. I've had the opportunity to supervise interns before, and one of the hardest things is to, I think, get them to open up and to say, hey, you're here to ask questions, right? Like, it's totally fine. Like, no question you ask is a bad question or a wrong question. And so what would you say to, I guess, maybe that mindset of, people thinking that, if I ask questions, maybe I'm seen as someone who, like, doesn't know something I should, or something like that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So I always tell everybody in my trainings, or if I have an intern or my mentee, when I'm mentoring someone, you asking questions is actually the right thing to do. If you don't ask any questions, then I'm questioning, are you really interested? Are you really motivated? Right? And that's something I teach my kids, right? I have kids who are actually more on the reserved side, right? And I talk to them all the time. It is important that you show people that you're interested and passionate about something. And how do you show that? If you don't know much about the field, you have to ask the questions, right? And I really teach and let people know, supervisors, mentors, give them the chance, right?
Yeah.
Sit down with them, take the time, and just tell them, hey, I know we worked on that project. Do you have any other questions, right? Because nobody, like myself, I was very shy coming out of high school, right? Because we didn't learn how to public speak in high school. We just sat there and got, you know what I mean? We listened and took notes and took tests.
Listening.
Yes, you know, there was no, hey, let's talk about something. Let's have a project.
Yeah.
So, and that's something I learned too, because they gave me the chance to ask questions, and they gave me the time to think about what I want to ask and learn about. Yeah. So it's both sides, right? Yeah. We need to give the interns, our new employees, the chance to just, yes, we care about you, we value you. I'm sitting down with you now, and please, if you have any questions, now is the time. I want you to ask the question because I want to help you grow.
Yeah, and I had some pretty good work environments growing up, but definitely I think it's gotten a lot better, I think just in general. But I do remember many times in those early years of my career where I was sitting in rooms and like people wouldn't ask questions because, you know, they saw, I guess from the employee perspective, it was like, the people like staring down at you like, don't ask the questions. We're like the authoritative voice or whatever. But I feel like it's gotten a lot better in general. And here, you know, obviously I've had really great experiences in that way. But you can't learn if you don't ask questions.
100%.
Right? So that's really great. Moving on. Moving on. I want you to talk about the role of the human resources team within the El Paso County organization, maybe just from a broad perspective.
Yes, definitely. So we here in Human Resources, we are here to support all employees of El Paso County, right? Providing programs, services, and assistance with talent acquisition, compensation, benefits, employee relations, risk management, and my team, organizational development, right? And my team is really overseeing the performance management system. I oversee the internship program, development opportunities like our training program, and also the mentorship program and any other program we develop and create to develop and grow our employees.
So we touched on this a little bit, but I want to get into it a little bit more. Can you talk about the importance of ongoing training opportunities for employees and what that looks like here at El Paso County? Why should people be, I guess, excited about or encouraged to grow within an organization?
Absolutely. So ongoing training opportunities for employees are really crucial, right, for maintaining a competitive workforce. And allowing employees to continuously develop new skills or enhance existing skills ultimately leads to increased employee engagement, productivity, and retention. So essentially, offering development opportunities are really an investment in employee growth and career development and benefits both the individual and the organization. And I always say, right, we all should be lifelong learners. And at any stage of our career, we can and should continue to learn and grow more. And employees, as seen in our employee engagement survey, they want to have opportunities to develop and enhance skills and their knowledge. And we want to demonstrate that we value our employees and support them by offering them. And employees who feel valued and supported are more engaged, and engaged employees are more motivated to do a great job and serve citizens and our internal customers the best way they can. And we currently actually have a training catalog with about 230 live classes and online on-demand courses available. Some of them are leadership classes, like the classes and courses in our supervisor boot camp. That's a bundle of live and on-demand courses that focus on equipping a supervisor with tools and knowledge about our policies and processes to be a successful supervisor. So all newly promoted or hired supervisors get enrolled in that automatically, but we welcome anyone who would like a refresher, who just wants to learn more about those subjects. Another leadership program is our leadership development program. That is a program employees are nominated for through the department or office head. And that really focuses on growing those leadership skills like navigating difficult conversations, delegating. How can I raise employee engagement within my team? And so I'm just really grateful to have a team that is just as passionate about creating, implementing, and facilitating development opportunities like myself. So we continuously really create new opportunities based on feedback, insights, and needs we see across the county. So for example, we are launching 2 new created classes in February and March. One is about change management and adaptability, and another class is, for example, on positive intelligence.
Very good. So what are some of the more, I guess, popular training classes that you guys have that you see employees really turn out for? And then maybe it's the same answer, maybe it's not. What are some of your favorite classes that are offered?
Yes, so we definitely see the need and the want on any training related to communication. So navigating difficult conversations, giving feedback, those type of courses, communication skills, emotional intelligence, those are really very popular courses, which I totally understand because I always start my training with everything starts with how we communicate, how people see us, how people respond to us. It's all about communication, right? So, and one of my favorites is actually called Creating a Culture of Feedback. We created that about, well, now it's been, I guess, a year and a half ago, and it's really about, yes, we need to know how to give constructive and positive feedback in a very, in a good way, but we also need to learn how to receive feedback, right? So that's one of my favorite classes, and it's been very successful, and I love giving it.
That's great. So one of the things that you mentioned that your organization or that your division does, of the actually many things that it seems like your division does, is that you mentioned the mentorship program. So can you talk about how mentorship and the idea of it plays a role in your division's approach to what you do here in HR?
Absolutely. So the mentorship program actually allows us to use another great resource we already have to develop and grow our workforce: the skills, knowledge, insight, and experience of our leadership. So this is an opportunity, besides attending training and workshops, to build a one-on-one relationship with someone within our organization who wants to give their time and insight to help someone grow. And we are very grateful for our mentors who are committed to this program, some of them already for the second round. So we're really, really grateful for them. And the mentee has the chance to gain a sharper focus on what is needed to grow professionally, gain valuable advice and insight on the best course of action to navigate a challenge, develop those communication skills again, and then also improve the ability to express expectations, goals, and concerns. So the mentorship program is really a development opportunity for mentees to grow, but also for the mentors, right? And on top of the individual growth, it's also about growing connections across departments and offices within El Paso County. So we have about 5 events during the course of a program where all mentors and mentees within the cohort have the chance to get to know each other and network. And some employees and even managers rarely have the chance to meet or work with someone in a different office or department. And I feel it's so valuable for all of us to learn about each other and build those connections across departments and offices. So we were very grateful that we received amazing feedback from last year's, our first program, and how much they enjoyed the program, learned about themselves, and the knowledge they gained through the connections they made. And we were also able to incorporate some new suggestions from last year's participants in this year's program as well, because we always value feedback, right? I think I mentioned this earlier. We are all lifelong learners, and we need to take advantage of feedback and development opportunities to learn and grow. So we are really happy that we launched our second mentorship program just in January.
Yeah, no, that's really great. And what are some of the things that you learned from that first instance that you were able to bring forth into the second one, and maybe some things that you thought went well that based off the feedback, it's like, oh, maybe it's a little bit different than I thought. And then what are some things that you were just like, oh no, we nailed this. Like, let's keep this moving forward.
Yeah. So I would say some feedback we learned is just the timing. Mm-hmm. So we launched our last program mid-October, which then rolled right into all the holidays, right? Sure. November, December, people taking some time off the end of the year. So that took away from that 10-month program. People felt like they started, mm-hmm. and then there was this break again. Yeah. So that's why we now start in January. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the feedback. The other feedback is, which is always interesting, because you get the feedback that, hey, we need a little bit more structure to go through the program. And then you have people who say this was too much structure, right? Uh-huh. So what last year we had forms that needed to be filled out, writing down the goals, mm-hmm. and the action plan to achieve those goals at the end of the mentorship program. So last year we made that mandatory. This year we said, but we still give you all the tools and the forms, so you have them available. Right. We encourage you to write it down, but you don't have to, right? It's a fluid process. You do within your relationship what you feel is most valuable for you to grow, right? Mm-hmm. That's what mentoring is about. Yeah. So those were the two. And what we definitely continue doing is definitely those networking events. Like, we got great feedback about that. So we added, I think, an additional one this year, actually. And just seeing how valuable it is for the mentees and mentors to also learn from each other and build those connections. That's definitely something we're going to continue doing.
Great. Another aspect of your division, the team that you work with, is that performance evaluations piece. So can you talk to me about the value of those performance evaluations and goal setting within the organization?
Absolutely. I want to start by saying that performance evaluations are really just a small piece of what we call performance management, right? And I'm very passionate about performance management because that's really what should be an ongoing process between a supervisor, manager, and their team. So performance management means setting clear expectations as far as the job, the tasks, the goals, but also the behaviors, how to go about the job, right? What's expected, what you expect of your team as a manager. So communicating those expectations, and the employees, again, asking questions. If something is unclear, making sure that those regular conversations, we call them check-ins, happen between the manager and their team. That's something I'm really passionate about, because what I always tell people when they come to me and learn about how to complete performance evaluations, the first thing I let them know is, if you really take the time to do performance management throughout the year, to have those regular check-ins with your employees, right? To have those conversations, what are priorities right now? What are we working on? What's going well? What's going not so well, right? Then the performance evaluation is really just a summary of what you already discussed throughout the entire year, so there should be no surprises, not on the side of the manager and not on the side of the employee. Right. So the evaluation is really just a summary, a written formal summary of everything going on through the year. Yeah,
that's actually a really good point. I want to jump in real quick, is because I think at most organizations there's some form of evaluation, or you called it the performance management. Yeah. As the I'll say the line level employee, as I often was, I only saw that evaluations piece, and it really struck me when that happened about, just maybe a little how surprised I felt about the feedback that I was getting, because the culture in the organization was not one of feedback. It was, you do your job and then we'll do this evaluation once a year and you'll find out what we think of you then, right? And directly what you said, you shouldn't be surprised about anything that happens
Correct.
in an evaluation, because there should be an open dialogue throughout the entire year about, hey, this is, how we feel things are going. This is where we, need to see some improvement. This is where we think you're actually excelling. And, we
100%.
love what we're seeing from you
Yes.
here. And it really wasn't until I came to El Paso County where I felt that and saw that, and I guess a credit to how your staff is implementing it throughout the organization. That's exactly what I felt. I went in there, I'm like, oh, this is all stuff I know. I know where my improvement needs to be. I know, things I'm doing well and things that, my leadership feels I'm doing a good job with. So it was actually like a super productive conversation where I think most of the time, at least in my experience, it hasn't been particularly productive. It's more just been sort of more of, I don't know, maybe like an accusation, really.
Yes.
And, that's not what you want.
A chore.
Yes, a chore is actually a great way of putting it. So
I appreciate you saying that, because that makes me really happy. That makes my little HR heart glow when I hear, that feedback. Yeah, because that's why this feedback culture is so important. I mentioned that training earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
We really need to get to the point, and yes, we did a lot of work, and we can even get better. Like, we all learn and grow every day. That open feedback of what's going well, what's not going so well, having those conversations. So it's also not so hard to take feedback in, because if it's part of the culture,
right.
you're going to hear from me if you can improve in something, but I'm also going to tell you when you did something great, right? That builds that trust.
Yeah.
That's when employees feel engaged. That's when they do their best work, because they want to be part of the team, right?
Yeah.
And so.
No, totally agree. And I think what you're saying, like that idea of trust.
Correct.
I think the hardest part for someone, if you're not used to it, is going into something and hearing feedback and not immediately thinking, this person thinks I'm terrible. This person thinks I'm doing a horrible job. Like, why am I even here? Like, I clearly need to be updating my resume or something, right? Like, you initially have those thoughts, but being able to like go into something and have that trust with your leadership, with your immediate supervisor, and understanding that it's not this person's job to tear me down. It's this person's job to help build me up. Okay. And sometimes to do that, we need to recognize where those flaws are in, like, if you're comparing it to like building a building, right? You need to recognize where those flaws are in the construction of that building, so you can, address those flaws and make them stronger. And so, the overall building itself is much stronger because of it. And then, also point out what you're doing right. It's like, yes, this is exactly what it needs to be. And, you're building it perfectly,
100%.
right? And, again, like before I came here, that was not at all what my experience was with these type of conversations. And so adjusting to that, it felt really raw. It was difficult at first, because you're like, okay, well, when's the hammer going to drop? When am I going to get blindsided by something, right? And it's obviously not great to come in and like have that sort of mentality, because we really are, I think, relying on our leaders to be open and available and honest, and it's not always the culture. And so, like, coming in, seeing that, and now becoming more comfortable with that myself, has been incredibly productive, and I think done really great for helping build me into what I want to be, which is, a better employee who has more skills and is better able to serve, the people that we serve. But you have to be open to it.
100%.
I think ultimately is like where I'm going with that.
And that's also one thing I always tell the supervisors and managers, right? If you wouldn't care about your employees, you wouldn't need to tell them how they can grow and get better.
Right.
It's because you show them you care by letting them know what they can improve on and what they should keep doing, because they're doing a great job. And it's all about caring, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and leads me to kind of the next question I had about this subject. So why do you think it's important for both employees here at El Paso County, but also residents of El Paso County, to hear about how passionate you are about employees' personal growth and what it means to you?
Yeah, I think it's important because, as we talked earlier, right, employees want to grow, right, and they want to develop, and we want to support and show our employees that we value them and support them in that growth, which leads again to employees who are more engaged and who are more productive and hopefully stay with us for a long time, which leads to better services we can provide to our customers out there, to the citizens of El Paso County within every department and office, right? The more engaged, motivated, and dedicated you are to the job you do, the better job you do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that's half the price, right?
Yeah.
It's not only the knowledge and skills. It's that are you showing initiative? Are you motivated? And are you dedicated to what you do? And I am really passionate about that, and I think that's a really, really important part.
That's awesome. So every day is not the best day. I think everyone can agree with that.
Yes, definitely.
So what would you say is the most challenging aspect of working in human resources? What makes it sometimes, it's not just sometimes, a little bit difficult to come into the office?
Yeah, so I think for me personally, in my area, is the need to, we have to develop and create opportunities programs without having the most innovative technology, right? And without having unlimited resources, right? We have a limited amount of staff. Obviously, we don't have an open budget, right?
Unfortunately, we
right
don't.
now. So, and I come from a private company, right, where I just had more resources.
Sure.
So this has definitely been a challenge, but at the same time, it has also been the most rewarding because, again, I learned about myself that I actually love a challenge, and experiencing really over the past 6 years what we can build and create by working in a team who takes initiative and pride in their work and is really motivated to make things happen by putting in effort and not giving up has been such a gift and so rewarding. And I wouldn't change that for anything.
That's awesome. So on the other side of the coin, what does a successful day at the office look like for you?
I think if I really see that we made progress on a project we're working on, or if I was able to support someone with a challenge or question, or if someone comes up to me during a training or after a workshop and tells me that something I said or demonstrated really stuck out to them and they're going to take that back with them. And sometimes it's just making someone smile and telling me they appreciate my positivity and my energy, right? And by the way, right, I always tell people a smile and some encouraging words can make a big difference, and it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
And it can be contagious too.
Absolutely. That's true. So we're getting near the end of the conversation here. So I was just wondering if there's anything else that you wanted to add that you think would be important for listeners to know.
Yeah, so again, I'm very grateful to be able to have a job I enjoy and that has a meaning, right? Supporting the county's employees across departments and offices who really make a difference supporting our community. And I'm really fortunate to be able to work and have met so many wonderful and passionate employees across departments and offices. And again, we are here in HR, and my division is here to support all of you out there, all the employees, right, to do the best we can. So I would really just encourage, if you do have any questions about anything I talked to, or if you have an idea on how what we can offer to support your growth, to offer more development opportunities, please, I encourage you to just reach out. Reach out to me personally or reach out to my team. We have an email, ermtraining@elpasoco.com. We always value, like I mentioned earlier, feedback, ideas, and you are out there. You are doing the work, and we are here to support you. And however way we can, I want to hear about it, and I want to do my best I can do so.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Christine. I really appreciate you taking the time today and for all the work that you do here for El Paso County and for the employees here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Same to you. Thank you, Scott.
Thanks. If you are interested in listening to additional episodes of Beyond the Dais, be sure to look for us on Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.